Could I fit in a sprint car?
Man, I was just thinking about that earlier. No way. Hi, I'm Carson Macedo, and this is the 1 Degree Podcast.
Woo!
Hey, instead of off the field, it's off the track.
Ooh.
Race car driver. Welcome in, special guest. I'm over here looking like Cole Trickle and it's not Talladega Nights. What is the movie?
Nah, Days of Thunder.
Days of Thunder. Thunder Road.
Thunder Road.
I got a professional race car driver's glasses on. I feel like a savage. Anyways, Carson, welcome in. The second guest. Rob Golden was the first two-time guest.
Yeah.
He came in. That was season 1 of the new Off the Field. Now we're off the field. Carson Macedo off the track. Welcome in, dude.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I think last time I was on the video chat, so this is a little better.
Yeah, we were over Zoom. That was different times. 2020 was different.
COVID years.
Different times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kenny, Carson,
Yeah,
Kenny.
we've met. We've met.
Even though he didn't remember me, it's fine.
I remembered you, dude. Tyson just tries to play off like.
So Carson and Kenny met 5 times, and Kenny doesn't remember any of them.
I met him at Joel's birthday party.
There was a lot of people there, so I gave him a break on that one.
Yeah, but still.
But I get what you're saying.
He's been hitting the head a lot.
Yeah, CTE. CTE is a hell of a drug.
It's a bad thing. I've got it going on, too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, shoot.
Yeah, we have a professional race car driver, one of the best sprint car drivers in the world. World of Outlaws. You just got back from Australia, right?
Yeah.
How's that?
It was epic. I love it down there.
How'd you get involved going to Australia? Because it's
down there. Oh, I see what you did.
Yeah,
I see what you did there. Down under.
I do it for you guys. But it's winter here, summer there.
Yeah,
right.
That's why
so it's kind of their race season. Is it pretty big over there?
Yeah, I mean, not as big as here, just because there's just not there's less people in general. Like the whole country of Australia is literally almost exactly the same size land mass as the United States, but there's less people in the whole country than there is in the state of California. So it's like there's just not enough people like to sustain the population for it to be big.
And isn't like 90% of the population within like 10 miles of the coast or something like that?
All on the coast.
Yeah, which is crazy. So like the middle is just like absolutely
I don't know about
nothing.
10 miles, but like
it's some weird number like that.
Nobody's within more than 5 hours inland.
Yeah,
which is like all the center is just like desert and there's no man's land, so there's like nowhere you can really be.
So where was your home base? Or
New South Wales. So we're like in Singleton area, which is like pretty much northwest of Sydney. So there's not a lot of racetracks around there. That's another thing too, is why it's a little bit tougher over there for racing, is the tracks aren't close. Like if you're here, a lot of people aren't familiar with it, but here in California, you could literally be at 12 to 13 different dirt tracks within 5-hour radius. Yeah. Where there, if you want to go from one track to another, probably, minimum 10 hours drive. So it's just a lot of traveling.
Do you drive or do you fly?
No, we fly. Yeah, I'm lucky. I don't have to drive. The first couple years I went over, we drove around, but not anymore.
Thirsty, man. I'm just kidding.
He was thirsty.
I'm just kidding. I'm all kinds of thirsty. Yeah, because I was talking to Kenny a little bit about how your come up and how you started, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but it's a little bit easier for you now because you get to fly to places and you have the crew take the car and everything, and you get to come home if you have a couple days off, like during the actual race season. So it's kind of the same in Australia.
Yeah, it's the same idea basically. Like
you don't drive the sprint car to the track.
No, not quite. Yeah, when I used to, like you said before, there was a lot of working on the car during the week, having to be really involved. And just, not a full-time team where there was actually people that were employed to work on the car. So it was kind of just me and living in whatever area that team was based out of to be able to get the car ready during the week. And now, obviously, it's changed a lot. But same way over there. Originally, the reason I started going over there is because, like you said, the different seasons. And I met a guy when he was actually over here loading a container, and just like out of pure luck.
Hey, g'day, mate.
Yeah, so he was Australian, and at the time, my crew chief here at Tarleton Racing was Australian, and so I was like, started talking to him, and then bang, came buddies, and he ended up being like having one of the most successful teams over there.
Are you staring at his mic?
Yeah, it's just wobbling a little bit.
Yeah. Overnight.
It's all right.
So
you got it. We'll get it.
Yeah, I'll
half-ass stuff over here.
It won't do
but
it
it's
now.
Good. It looks
legit.
You look outstanding in the camera, though.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you. You're
so an Australian guy is loading a container, and he knew you or no?
Yeah, so
How did this happen?
He didn't know me. He was actually just going there to like watch as a race fan because he was busy loading a container. And then we met up, and basically, to make a long story short, I was trying to find a ride over there to go race. I got to the point where
in Australia. So
Australia.
you had one, so you had
To
known
race
about it
over there.
already. Did
Yeah.
somebody tell you about it, or you just
No,
kind
just
of
like
always known about it?
saw other drivers going over to the race and thought, man, I'd love to do that in the off season.
Is it kind of? Is it? Like you could compare it to the NFL doesn't have this, but like winter ball in baseball, they go to Mexico, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, different spots because it's warmer.
Same thing?
Is it kind of the same? Like it's a shorter season.
Yeah.
It's not as good competition, but it's like the
Still,
fans care like crazy when
Oh,
when
yeah.
you're playing in winter ball. Like it's a lot different feel. Like especially Mexico.
it's exactly the same vibe,
Yeah.
really. Like it's all outdoor racing, so you can't race when it's snowing or in the wintertime. So over there it's summer, and it just makes it easy for us to be able to go over there and like stay sharp and be ready for the season here.
Yeah, I had a guy go and play winter ball in Australia.
Yeah.
You don't make very much money. You kind of make like minor league money,
Yeah.
but he's like they had jobs like during the week,
Yeah.
like not the good dudes, like the ones that they brought from like the States or whatever. They made like $4 or $5 grand. It wasn't very much, but they had a couple. I don't know if they're like Japanese or like Korean or something. They were on the team, and they all worked at like a Toyota. And it was like the only Toyota in the town, and it's like funny, like these 3
Work
Asian kids
there.
are working at like Toyota during the week and then playing baseball games.
I had a buddy who played football in Australia, and he like for his like job he would like trim palm trees. Like that was his like
He's
his
playing football and he's climbing palm trees.
climbing palm trees and trimming palm trees. I'm like, geez, like
Yeah.
that ain't the business.
It's pretty popular for like a lot of racing sports though. So like AMA Supercross, you see a lot of the same thing. Like there's factory teams over in Australia, and like a lot of the riders will go over there and ride. And
What's the
just- it
season?
just-
How long is the season? Like 3 months?
for the sprint car stuff?
Yeah.
It can be like I typically am only over there for about 6 weeks during that Christmas period, and like right after Christmas is when all like the good races are, more competition, the bigger races.
All the
so.
big shots show up.
Well, not necessarily. It's just when like the international season is. So that's
Yeah.
when all like the American and like those type of
'Cause
drivers
they're-
come over.
It's like the second half of the season. They're leading up to playoffs or whatever. What is it? Like they have this.
Just all their big races. Yeah, the ones that pay good money and that are like the bigger ones on their schedule. But
Yeah.
Could I fit in a sprint car?
Man, I was just thinking about that earlier. No way.
No.
My brother, how tall are you?
6'7".
Yeah, no way. My brother's 6'3", and he does it, and it's
Tight.
borderline. Yeah, they gotta. So like his cars, they actually have to cut. Like we sit on like what we call an A-frame, so it sits this way, and then the bottom obviously is where you sit. We got to move his back, cut it out, and re-weld it back, because otherwise you sit
Knees
like a
would be in
chair.
his chin and
Yeah, you sit like a chair in that thing. So just like this, and you push down on the throttle and forward on the brake, and the engine sits right in front of you. So that's the problem, right? Is your legs would be the problem. Like
Yep.
from here to here.
Yep, that's where I'm long too. Is my
Yeah.
femur is just
and
like,
they would have to probably take out the engine to be able to make weight,
Yeah.
right? Because don't the cars have to weigh a certain amount? Like they
Come
can't be
on.
too light.
There's
or
a
too
minimum.
heavy.
So like, what do you weigh?
two.
It depends.
I
He's
started
anywhere
put you on
from
the spot.
I'm in my fast right now.
He's
so
anywhere from
probably like
270 to
270.
You're
295.
fasting? What are you
Yeah.
on a 72 hour or something like that?
72 right now.
I did that just like about a month and a half ago. It's
Yeah.
not easy. What day? Where are you at?
On day 2.
Day 2. Third day's the hardest because you know you're gonna eat.
I know.
You're looking forward to that meal.
I've been doing 2 days for a while now. Like,
Yeah.
I do it like once a week.
Okay.
He does them too often. He's probably causing harm to himself, but that's how he loses weight. He just
Yeah.
doesn't eat for a week and then
just started.
goes on
Just-
vacation.
Yeah, and I just smash food.
He'll come back from like a trip or something, and I'll see him, and he comes in and I'll say, "Hey, how's it going?" He just goes, "Ate like an asshole this weekend."
It's
Yeah.
true. I love food, but like, man, I want to feel good too. You know.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I don't know. I don't think you'd make weight. It's so the problem
sure I
is
wouldn't.
the problem is well, yeah, you could just cost a lot of money to make somebody.
But when
that's
you
heavier
weigh-
make
when-
weight, because you got to do other things to the car to offset that weight, right? So you got to add more carbon, panels and things like that, more titanium bolts, all that stuff costs money.
Because
So-
there's not a limit. There's a minimum.
a minimum, yeah. So you just put yourself at a disadvantage. So like Rico, he's at an advantage compared to all of us, right? Because he's
the little guy,
a little person. So, but the advantage that he has, right, is that you get to move your weight around when you're like that. So, the worst part about having a heavy driver is now your center of gravity of all your weight is really high in the car. Where like Rico, right, they did the exact opposite of what I just said to my brother's frame. So they cut his frame out, moved it way forward, and put his pedals on like these basically levitated boxes. And then they mount all the weight down low, so it just makes the car handle and work quite a bit better.
And it's just basically glued to the ground type of thing.
Yeah, it just helps.
Is he really a little person, or is, oh, okay.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he's a little person.
No,
like,
he's like one of the. Yeah, he's
legit,
really good, right?
But he's really good. Yeah, he's probably, you know, at this current moment, you know, he's probably easily, I'd say, in the top 6 in the world for sprint car racing. He's a good driver.
Yeah, why couldn't he be? You know, that's great.
I mean, you still got to have some skills.
Yeah,
no doubt.
They do some.
You got to have some balls on you too to freaking ride those things, man.
They do some modifications to make it work for him, but he does a great job with it. Yeah. One of the things I had an issue with is like when he would turn, right, his radius wasn't long enough, so they just bent his steering wheel up on one spoke, like to where so it's folded forward, so he could reach across. Like it's
because you
cool,
don't
really,
hold the steering wheel straight, you hold it at an angle to be able to turn
a little bit
the opposite way, right? It probably depends on the track how much you're turning.
Yeah, it does. So our steering wheels are quick disconnects, so they just pull right off. So it's like it's spline to wherever you want to put it. But yeah. Like his issue was like he would go to turn drive past it, and then he'd lose his hand, so they just bent his steering wheel. Like it's cool actually to see his car and how they make it work.
It's just way different than everybody else, because everybody else you would probably be similar to your size.
Yeah,
right. And
then, most guys are.
Then you have bigger guys like your brother, and then smaller guys that their cars are way different.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I've never even like climbed in a car or anything, gone fast on a track ever in my life.
Yeah, it's a different world.
It would be sick to do.
Have you ever sat in like an F1 car?
I haven't. No, I've sat in a cup car, stuff like that.
Do you think you'd be able to drive an F1 car?
I think I could. Yeah, I just haven't really had that opportunity. Honestly, I was probably a little bit naive, but like I never wanted to do anything but drive wing sprint cars.
Yeah.
Like that was like just all I ever thought about, all I ever wanted to do. So I didn't really try and open any of them doors up either. Like I just was so tunnel visioned on like racing with the World of Outlaws that I just didn't give anything else a shot.
And that's why you're the best, man. But the reason why I ask about the F1 car is in spring training a long time ago, one of the good, well, it wasn't even spring training, we're talking about it in spring training, but one of my good buddies at the time, he was really into cars, and he had like an M5, and he went to like the BMW like racetrack and learned how to race and was all into it. And we went to this a simulator that they had in like this arcade bar thing, and it was like one of the really good like race simulators you could pay. He would say like it's good for what it is. It's not the ones that they use to practice, but it's fun to do. And one of the guys that's not good race car, not into cars as much, tried it, and he's going racing the simulator, and he's not even staying on the road. He's like climbing the walls, flipped it, spinning Brodies, and I'm like, dude, you can't even drive this car. And then like my buddy gets into it. That's pretty good. He's went to like the BMW thing. They teach him how to race, and he did okay, but it was still like all over the place. I was like, dude, you suck. And he's like, no, it's a lot harder. And I was like thinking to myself, why is this simulator so hard? It's not that hard to drive a car.
Yeah.
And then he was like, he was trying to explain to me that this simulator right here is 50 times easier than driving one of those F1 cars. Yeah. And I was like, no, you're drunk. And he's like, no, like it's really hard. And then I said, so you're telling me that I can't get in an F1 car and just be able to drive it around the parking lot? He goes, no, you wouldn't even be able to get it started. And I'm like, you're a freaking drunk. And then he shows me this video of a professional race car driver. Like somebody has like their own TV show. Like they weren't like you, but they knew how they drive every exotic car. They raced a little bit all growing up. And there's like, he was explaining to me that there's, well, on the video he was showing me, there's 3 levels of these F1 cars, and the third one is actual F1. So there's like a trainer, and then like the step 2, like practice, and then there's like the actual F1 car. So we started on the first level to go, and he killed it 16 times.
Yeah, wow.
Before he even got started, because there's like no clutch, and it's like dual clutch, and you just like rev like on the video, you just rev like the gas, and it gets to a certain point, and you have to know how to like engage it and go. So he killed it 16 times before he started to go. And then he went, and he was kind of going around the track, and he kind of got the hang of it a little bit, because once you're driving you kind of have it handled. And there's certain turns in like F1 where you have to be going a certain speed to be able to even go on that turn, like the ones that have curves, but most of them's kind of like flat. So he was driving it, and they told him to stop. That like they were telling the producers, hey, like he needs to shut down. His neck's gonna go out from like the whiplash, because he couldn't take it. He wasn't like trained enough. And so they stopped him from that, and that was at the first level of like the F1 cars. Yeah. And he was like saying like, oh, like I was, you know, kind of confident and, you know, cocky, like just get in an F1 car and drive it. And he's like, now I have a whole new respect for it. And like I'm sitting there, I'm still just like, this is fake. Like I could drive a F1 car, all this, and my buddy's like, no, dude, those guys like train in like $10 million simulators before they even get into $100 million car. Like it's insane how fast those things are, how like technological and
advanced they are. Sprint cars are a little bit more straightforward. I mean, like F1 cars are ridiculous. Go-kart, right? Yeah, but it's the same way, man.
But the
like
F1,
we done like
that's probably
testing.
Like one of the biggest sports in the world. It's like it's not as big here. It's like we're more NASCAR, drinking beer, and they're
NASCAR.
But like even F1, that when they came to Vegas last year, man, it was like ridiculous.
Yeah,
like
they tore up Vegas
ridiculous
to make that, and it still wasn't good enough. There was complaints and everything.
They still got work to do, but it'll be better. But it's like a 10-year plan. They'll be back, so it'll be legit. But man, sprint cars, like as far as like people doing it for the first time, is like not a much different. Like Sean Dyson, the guy that I drive for in Australia, he had like a test day where he had all his clients come out, and like it's funny to see. Like he was explaining, I wasn't there, but I can only imagine. Like I've seen this done a couple of times too, where like he had clients come out that were like, yeah, we can't wait to get in the sprint car and see how it is, and just like drive whatever it. And like they get in, they're like, they get out, like, fuck, how fast was I? Like, man, that was legit, and they're like idling around the track, like they think they're making burner laps, but it's not. It's something different, something new. I think that's a lot of the thing for a lot of people too, driving stuff like that, like a cup car, F1 car is just so different than.
And then when you're driving like at the level that you're driving at, there's a lot more that goes into it. That, I mean, because I grew up going to your races when you were in like the little junior sprints, when the things are just going around, and then like I've seen you in like all these cars like hauling ass. I haven't seen very many of your races, but I've seen you go. Yeah. And then hearing you talk about it and how like every track is different, and then every race is different, like the beginning laps and then the end laps, where you're sitting when it comes to like the middle of the pack or the end of the pack, like with the grooves, and like how the actual like racetrack is. You got to be in like a certain groove, like and stay in that groove, find your groove, not like I'm in the zone groove, like a legit groove in the track that fits like your car and what you're trying to do at that time. So you have to know how the track is running at that time, what groove you're gonna pick. Like this guy's hammering out the low one, like I gotta go high for a little bit, because like I've seen them, they'll like start low and then they'll go high, or one guy will go high, or they'll stay low, and then it's just like crazy when you were explaining it. And then now I'm watching, I'm like, oh, this is actually kind of cool to watch. They're not just going in a circle. Now there's actually like some strategy to the racing. The cool thing about like I feel like racing dirt track stuff is that the track changes throughout the race, so that's basically what you're chasing a lot of the time, you know what I mean? Like, and then you can have like a track that's not good, and you just have to deal with it. Everybody's dealing with it, and it's just you're just basically trying not to mess up the car at that point, huh? You have to be around for when you're racing like on a championship level where you're running 90 nights a year for a points fund at the end of the year. That's the difference. Of there is nights that you just have to survive because the track's no good, nobody's passing, things like that. But for the most part though, like a lot of the tracks that we race across the country that we race at are all pretty good. Like they all have good surfaces, they race a lot, so they have a pretty good idea of how the track's going to be, or how they need to prep it depending on the weather and all that good stuff. So I feel like that's probably the biggest difference between what you're explaining now is the biggest difference between being like a local racer and then being like a national racer that does it for a living. That just that difference is a lot of the times what wins races and what makes that difference at the end of the race. Of
who's going to be up front. And
yeah, so how does
sprint car racing is no different than a lot of like other racing sports where like, man, there's very few people actually making good money at it. Most guys are like, it's not like baseball or football or a lot of the other sports where like if you get signed, you're making decent money. Like the 1% are the only ones making any money. So it's just
because they're kind of on like the best team.
Yeah,
that can provide everything that the driver needs.
Well, it's just all about winning. So like, you know what I mean? Like only like a lot of guys don't make as much money if they don't win. So it's not like it's just there's just not as much of the capital.
So basically, he's
available.
saying he wins a lot.
No, that's not,
that's what he's saying.
And he's in that 1%. For
yeah,
sure.
he is the 1%.
Yes.
That's just it.
It's just there's not enough money. That doesn't pay that much to start. So you have to be running good in order to do okay financially to be able to do it full time.
So what is your preparation like for a track? Say whether you know the track and you've raced it a lot. Like you were explaining, the weather has a lot to do with it. They're prepping it. Do you go like, are you walking the track? Do they use different tires for different areas? Different, like what all goes into the preparation to be able to actually win? Like you can't just show up and race the same way every time. So how does your preparation go for each track on a 90 race season?
So I'm pretty lucky. Like my team is really good. JJR. So originally, that's what's on the side of this helmet here. Originally, it was started by Jason Johnson, and he ended up passing away driving the car in a big accident in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. And now his cousin Philip Dietz actually runs the team, and Philip is like a crazy good mechanic. So I always say like racing is a mechanic sport. I've always joked around and said that. Like even though driver obviously makes a big difference, and your crew guys and like your equipment matters a lot, and your engine and all that good stuff, but like
it's more team than people think.
It's a mechanic sport. It's a team sport. It's definitely comes down to you having a good car. Like you're only as good as your car is. So a lot of the preparation is in my team's work. Like they have the JJR has been racing on the World of Outlaw Tour and going to these tracks several times over a course of 10 years or so. So they have really good notebook. They have a really good notebook for a lot of the tracks that we're going back to. So that's where a lot of the preparation starts. They've been to these tracks. They've tested, how what their torsion bar combination, their shock package, and their wing combination, and all those things need to be for that certain racetrack. And they kind of put those pieces together. And then for me, it's more so just being prepared outside of racing, like being fit, staying in the gym, making sure that my mind's right. Like racing is such a tough sport, right? Because it's not a 50-50 deal. It's not a one winner, one loser type deal. So you lose way more often than you win. If you can win 15% of the time, that's a really, really good season. So like, man, there's a lot of nights where you don't win and you leave upset. So like it's so easy to get in a funk and get your mind in a really bad spot. So for me, it's more so like staying in good shape, eating right, making sure that I'm fit, going to the gym, I have a sports psychologist. He actually teaches at Fresno State, Tim Hamill. He's a really good dude. He helps me a lot. Just good mentors. Like that's the biggest thing for me preparation wise. Like as far as the racetrack changing during the race, that's all just basically reaction and over time.
Experience.
The more you race, that's why I'm in Australia every year racing, right? Is because the repetition.
You got to stay in shape.
The repetition though in those late race decisions is more so from experience than it is, no different than like you're gonna get better, right? The more you step up to the plate. Same exact idea. So, yeah, it's just a different world. But
well, and then like mentally too. It's not the safest sport, right? Like, and you got into a really bad accident a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, actually, this past year, man, the worst one I've ever had, and so that's. Yeah,
like how do you deal with that, and then kind of how did you bounce back, and did you notice your mind kind of thinking differently when you did get back in the car, or did it take you longer, or did it take you longer to fully get on the throttle once you did get back? Talk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, so that's a good question, man. It's been like one of the toughest years I've ever had this year. I've had a huge wreck at Knoxville. I wish you guys could see it. I'll send you the video that way if you want to include it or whatever. But man, it like car caught on fire. Like I had a huge it ended up breaking in the middle of the corner of the car. Something broke, and I go straight on head on in the fence, and it's a huge wreck. Catches on fire, everything else, and man, like I ended up in the hospital, broke couple of the ribs on my right side. I had some burns like on the back side of my arm, and then my ankle's still pretty like just scarred up from, you know, burns and stuff. And then I ended up, like you were joking earlier about CTE, but like, man, I had a major concussion after that.
How scary was that, like in the moment? Like,
man,
when
like,
you're just like on fire, like
none of it was scary because I was knocked out the whole time.
Oh, you were?
Yeah. So the craziest thing for me that I've had to get over, and it's really been hard for me to like overcome in my own mind moving forward, is just not remembering anything. Like my recollection is driving around. I was running second in that race. Our car was really good. I was charging up through the field. I had started, I think, 5th or 6th. And it's like I'm in lap traffic, and then boom, next thing I know, like I've got 2 guys kind of like on each side of me, and I'm looking down, and they're like carrying me over to the ambulance, and everyone's, you know, my girlfriend's there, everybody's crying, and everybody's, you know, because a lot of people were thinking that I died. So it was like, you know, I'm just like, what the hell's going on? You know, I had no idea. And so for me, that's the hardest thing, is like I just keep thinking back, like what, like can I remember exactly what happened? Like obviously now I watched the video, but yeah, after that,
when
man,
you watch the video, you still
I had no recollection, man, nothing. Like I used to think people were liars. Like when I've had guys that are racing with me, and they'll be like, yeah, you know, I had this wreck, and like I don't remember nothing, and I'm like, you know, I've had wrecks, I remember everything, every detail. You know what I mean? That's BS. Like, man, I cannot even. Like for me, I wish I knew, just because like I can see that the car broke, but like what was that? Like what happened? Could I have felt what happened? Nothing. It was just like I'm going 160 mile an hour, and boom, I'm obviously I would have been awake coming at the fence, but once you hit, it must wipe away some of that past memory, or I don't know, man. It's weird, but following that, it was really difficult. Like we're racing for a points championship that's like basically my ultimate goal, my dream is to win the World of Outlaws championship. At that time, I was leading the points championship. My team had a lot of momentum going in our direction. We were running really well. We had ran in the top 5 almost every night, and that knocked me back big time. So, you know, I went through probably 3-4 weeks of just trying to, I had to race in order for us to get paid at the end of the year. Like we have to run all the rounds. So like I'm laying in the hospital, and like to answer your question earlier, like that's the first thing I was thinking, like what am I going to do? I got to get out of here and get back in the car. You know, I can't be out. And then I was worried that, well, my back's broke, or if this or that, you know, they won't let me race anyway. It ended up being okay. Obviously I had like broke ribs and stuff. Luckily I have a doctor that's, you know, one of my buddy's friends that, you know, just prescribed me some Toradol medication, and I took that. And
vitamin T, baby.
Yeah,
vitamin T.
Taking some Toradol.
Man, it's unbelievable. I never took it until then.
Shoot.
And I'm telling you,
that's the only way these guys play NFL games on Sunday.
Every game, bro.
An hour later, it was
it's
like,
not even that big
dang,
deal.
Feel
man.
nothing.
It's just normal.
Yeah, that's like, it's just,
it doesn't even affect him
Tylenol.
anymore. Yeah,
I wish
it was crazy though, man. Like the minute it wore off, they told me 4 hours it'll wear off, and the minute it started wearing off, like I was like, man, it wasn't good. So
how much time did you have off from that wreck to your next race?
So I had that wreck on a Saturday night, and then I raced again on Thursday.
Dang.
So yeah, I didn't have much time. And the worst thing was actually later in the year. So I ended up wrecking. I recovered. I raced for 3-4 weeks. It was, I'm telling you, it was legit like I'd have 2-3 beers and then go and try and race. Like that's how my mind felt. I just felt like I was like a lap behind everything that was happening. Like I'd get it just like honestly, like my mind couldn't keep up with the speed of everything that was going on. And I think my repetition over the years of racing, like I could still be up to speed. Like I could run inside the top 10, but I wasn't winning races. I wasn't doing that good. So I fell behind a little bit in points. And then 4 or 5 weeks later, we ended up winning a race, and I started feeling I had just gotten back in the gym. I was feeling good again, and like started to recover. Ran really good at one of our biggest events of the year. It was kind of dripping down into like September months, and then I ended up having another wreck, fractured my vertebrae, T5 and T6, and that was worse because I fractured it on a Thursday, and had to race Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that was way worse than the other wreck. Because at least the other one, I had like a few days to like gather my stuff back together. But we were in Skagit, Washington, and just had to keep going. So yeah, that again, like just took Toradol and kept after it.
Yeah. Is there any like protocol or anything that like the league or whatever put you through to like make sure you're okay to race? Because
Man, like
Which
That's
because
a
there
great
should
question.
be, right? Because there
Yes.
should be, because there is for football. You hear like, oh, this
Yeah.
guy's in concussion protocol, right?
Yeah.
So is there anything like that where it's like, or is it just, hey, I can race, let's go?
Man, that is a great question. And after it happened to me, that was one of the questions I was asking. Like, I knew personally that there's no way I should have been out on that racetrack. Like, it wasn't safe for me. It wasn't safe for any of the other drivers. But it's like, no, nothing. Just like,
Wow.
we're warriors. We just got to get out there and that's not a very good answer. Like, that's.
Yeah, because it's like once you have one concussion or whatever, and that one seemed pretty bad because you're out. Like,
Yeah.
that was like, that's horrible.
For a period of time.
Yeah,
right?
and you race 4 days later.
Yeah.
Like that shouldn't happen.
They just haven't had anybody try to sue their ass off yet. That's why.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, that's something. It's a big problem. And if you know,
You should sue them.
yeah, it's just that, yeah. There's sprint car racing is still considered a grassroots sport, so there's just a lot of things that need to come forward. And although the sport has gone in the right direction, like we do have pay-per-view events now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the safety's better than it ever has been. The equipment's better than it ever has been. We've got more viewership than ever. Like, there's more funding in the sport than ever, but still has got some time to come forward in a lot of those aspects.
But I mean, all that stuff like doesn't matter if they don't have the best racers out there.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's what is going to project or make the sport go further, is if you have the best racers like yourself out there. So there needs to be some sort of like protection, like, right? There needs to be some sort of like protocol to like make sure that these racers are all right to race.
Yeah.
And I know, like, you're in your mind, you're like, I got to be out there for my guys because they're all relying on me too. Like,
Right.
And man, but it's crazy to think about that. There's nothing that
Nothing.
that they have to go through to continue to race after like a crash like that, especially.
It's wild though, man. Like, over time things change, and I think everything evolves. But like, even football though, like, you look back, like, not that long ago, it was like,
Yeah, they were using like old school helmets.
Yeah.
Like, now they have to all use the concussion safe helmets and
protocol
stuff.
helmets, and like even look at, like, just because we're in this area, like, look, somebody like Lorenzo O'Neal, who was a fullback,
Mhm.
right? And like, I watch videos of his back, like highlight videos back in the day. It's just like, grab the ball and lower your
It's
head.
just like concussion after concussion.
And
with
like,
those guys.
man, like, there's like, fullbacks don't even hardly exist in the NFL anymore.
No,
You know what I mean? Like, that's
use
kind of
check
been
and that's
pulled
it.
out.
He's just a
So,
football player.
Yeah, he's
That guy's a
just-
football player.
he's-
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, the game is definitely changing, and exactly, it's evolving, and it's
Money.
you're playing with more hands than anything right now, and they're taking away the high hits across the middle and keeping their hands and hits off the quarterback's heads, because again, when the quarterback is Patrick Mahomes isn't out on the field, your
Yeah.
product is less.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at, and that's what the NFL has done to protect like their highest stars and their highest profitability, having those guys out on the field.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, I know the NFL isn't the same as sprint car racing, but
Yeah.
if they want to put the best product on the field, you got to have the best players out on the field, or
Yeah.
the best racers out on the track. So
Yeah, I agree. It's just got some time to get better
For sure.
and to evolve.
for
you know?
sure,
You know what'll help everything?
What's
I
that?
know.
What's that?
Magic Mind.
Magic Mind.
You ever tried Magic
that it?
Mind?
I don't think I have. No.
We're about to get into it right now, so
Okay.
listen up, Carson. All right, so Magic Mind. You know how you need energy to feel good and perform good, but sometimes you drink coffee, you have an energy drink, and then you kind of get the jitters?
Yeah.
Well, just think of you have focus, and it lasts all day.
Yeah.
That's what Magic Mind provides, right, Kenny?
It does. You're
So
right.
Magic Mind take care of us really good. I drink this stuff every day. Drink
Yeah.
it with my coffee. I drink it. I got a lot of stuff going on. You know this. Kenny's got a lot of stuff going on. Podcast, real estate. We got kids. We're doing all these things, and we need to be at the top of our game. And Magic Mind, we found something that legit helps big time. So it's got caffeine from matcha. So it basically, Carson, the best way I can explain this,
Jesus came down and brought caffeine.
basically. So it takes the caffeine and it mixes it with other ingredients to turn it into focus, and then it makes that caffeine last longer. So it kind of keeps it throughout the day, and it lasts all day. And my favorite ingredient is ashwagandha.
Ashwagandha.
Ashwagandha takes
Let's
away the
go.
stress. It helps you focus. It's also got the lion's mane mushrooms. Because, you know, people get, they like take caffeine, or they'll take like pre-workout, and then they get like anxiety attacks.
Yeah.
Not with this.
Not with this.
Not with this. And Carson, guess what? If you go to magicmind.com/1degree and you use the code 1degree20, you get 20% off. And if you subscribe and you use that 20%, it goes to over 50%.
Yeah, wow.
So it's awesome.
We got some of this stuff here. Where's
We'll
that?
have them send you some.
Okay.
We'll have them send you some. So January, Izzy, pull out your phone. January is the last time to get up to 75% off. So if you go to magicmind.com/
You got one day.
that's why we're doing it live. magicmind.com/Jan1degree, and you use the code 1degree20, you'll get up to 75% off to help you crush 2024, all your New Year's resolutions, all that stuff.
Love that.
If you're on February 1st, then you just go to magicmind.com/1degree and use the code, and they'll take care of you.
Love it.
You know what else will get you right? If you go to Mayweather Boxing and Fitness.
No
You
doubt.
also have one more day to sign up. Not you, Carson, but if you want to go, I know a guy. You guys got one day to sign up for your first month free. And those members that are listening, I know you guys listen. If you refer them, you get $50 off. If you buy the gloves are essential, right, Wiggins?
Essential kit,
It's essential
baby.
kit. The gloves are essential to
Heart rate
boxing.
monitor.
Really?
Right? So go to Mayweather Boxing and Fitness. Get your groove on. Come see me and Wiggins. We're in there. Also, get some letters from Alpha Lit Fresno. Follow them on Instagram. They'll take care of you. We normally have a big V right here shouting out Alpha Lit, but not today. I'm done.
Carson's here. It's better. Carson's better.
Hey, let me tell you what. This man right here, we're talking to one of the best sprint car drivers in the world, right? How he's talking about, there's only of a few guys that can get paid, and that, like the small guys like number 6, like he's like one of the best that there is. But okay, no, but look, like, I say this because you didn't just start out like this, right? Like there was a road that you had to take, and last time you and I talked, your brother's kind of going through it right now a little bit, trying to find a ride, trying to get somebody to help him show off his skills. And it wasn't easy for you. You've kind of told me stories in the last episode that we had with you a long time ago, how you would drive hours all night because somebody gave you a chance to race their car.
Yeah.
And you were sleeping in the shop, learning how the car would be worked on, just so you were around there. So if somebody had an opportunity for you to drive, you were there ready to go. It wasn't just like, hey, Carson's a good driver, let's just have him on our team. You had to earn everything that you've had now. What has that road been like now, looking to where you are now, even before we talked? How do you feel now, looking back at everything that you've done? Does it make you kind of more proud, or do you still feel that it was like a grind and it was a lot harder than you thought it was to get to the spot that you are?
Yeah, I think, man, that's a good question. I feel like my journey was really, really easy because I was just having a good time and I was enjoying what I was doing the whole time. I didn't really ever feel like, man, I'm grinding it out to make it to where I want to be. I knew where I wanted to be, and I could see the finish line of that's where I'd like to end up one day, and that's the goal that I'd like to chase. But along the way, originally I was going to school to be an engineer. I was going to West Hills, and I remember distinctly going, I had the opportunity to move back to Indiana to race for a team, and it was like, man, I'm 2 years into engineering. I was going to do civil engineering. I was actually interning for a company, Blair Church and Flynn, right there in Clovis, and it was like, this is my future, and then it was like, hey, come take this opportunity. It's not going to be here next year, so either you take it or you don't. And at that moment I went, and I remember going to my school counselor and saying, like, I was on a scholarship there at West Hills. I was going there for nothing, which was a blessing now, because otherwise I have a bunch of loans, debt when I didn't, even use that degree. But her telling me like, you're crazy, like no way, you've got such a good opportunity here at West Hills, like you shouldn't pass this up, like you're damn near gonna graduate and you're gonna be at Fresno State, like you'd be stupid to pass this up. And I just was like, this is what I'm doing, and so I left, and man, it's been the best decision I ever made. Like, and along the way I thought, man, moving to some of the towns, being away from my family and my friends was hard. I'm really close with, obviously, Michael and Mitchell Viceno, and just my cousins and my friends from this area. It was tough to be gone. I obviously haven't been at Christmas in years, things like that.
Yeah, the one time we did see you at Christmas because you got your wisdom teeth
pulled
out.
Yeah, and it was COVID, right? So we couldn't travel. So I kind of got all that stuff done. But yeah, man, like now I look back on that journey, and like along the way, like you said, there was nights where I remember, moving back there in 2016, and then, 2016, 17, 18, really just like fully grinding. Like you said, living in shop buildings in Rochester, Indiana. I remember I lived in this shop building. I called it the Bat Cave. That had no windows. One day I slept until like 3 p.m. because I just didn't even know that it was light outside. I had stayed up all night, and just working on sprint cars across the country. And like I said, I remember racing in, Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, and then had a race in Fremont, Ohio the next day, and driving all night long, sleeping in the middle of somewhere right there in the middle of Chicago, so that I, in my car to be able to get to the next race, and carrying my seat along the way to be able to mount it in a car and race at that next venue. And all that time, man, I was having a blast. Like, I was like I'm living the dream. Like, I wasn't going to school anymore. I wasn't going to just be sitting behind a desk. And I was like, how good's this? Like, I'm making, I'm making ends meet and actually like providing for myself, doing something that I used to do for free, and it really just transpired into what it is today. And man, I'm just super thankful. Like, a lot of we talked about it the day that we went to lunch there not long ago, but no matter what in professional sports, it doesn't matter who they are. A lot of athletes that make it to where they want to go or whatever, right? Like, you obviously with baseball and everything, like even just getting to the point of being able to do it professionally is like the very little people get to have that opportunity. And even though you have talent, even though you have all those things, maybe the tools in your tool pack, you still have to have opportunity, and you have to have people that believe in you, and just you got to have those little doors open along the way that kind of help you out. And I had a lot of those along the way when I look back on my journey, and it's just, I'm super thankful for that, because it could have easily went the other way. And everybody wants it to work out. So, I see a lot of people that are in the same position as I am that are trying to work it out, and they haven't really got there. And I think, man, they have all the same tools as I did. They're just as good as I am. It just hasn't worked out that way because the opportunities haven't lined up. So just thankful for that.
But it's also a testament towards you too, because you were ready when those opportunities came, right? Like those, because that's half the battle is you never know when opportunity is going to come. And obviously, when your opportunity did come, you took full advantage of it, and look what you are now. That's like probably the same thing happened for Tyson. Same thing happened for me.
Yep.
Where it's a bunch of shit was going on. Where it was like, man, like when's my turn, or when's my spot gonna, like when is my opportunity gonna show?
Yeah.
But a lot of people get discouraged when they go through that whole entire thing. But when that opportunity does show and you're ready, then it's like that's the testament towards you and nothing else.
Yeah, I remember distinctly. Like, I think most of it too is being able to stick your neck out there and take a risk and go for it, right?
No doubt.
I was telling Tyson, I remember distinctly going to, I think this is when Connie owned the restaurant there in Lemoore, and what was it, John D's, and like Tyson had mitts in the back of his Chrysler 300 at that time, and we walked out there and he had a baseball, and we were throwing it around the parking lot, and he was in high school still. And I remember asking him, like, man, like what's your plan, like what are you gonna do, now that you're like high school's almost over, like what are you thinking? And he was like, man, like I'm gonna play baseball. And I remember thinking, like, yeah, but what else? Like, I remember saying it to him,
no
like,
doubt,
like what else, like do you have any? And he was like, no, like that's it, like I'm playing baseball, like I'm gonna play baseball. And it's like, man, like to see him go on and do that. But he was all in. It wasn't.
There was no plan B.
And that's how you have to be, to be ready for those opportunities. And I think that's what separates a lot of people, And it's like when I talked to you the other day about real estate, you weren't like, yeah, I'm gonna dabble in it and see how it goes. It was like, man, I'm taking this to the moon. Like, I'm doing everything I can to make this be the best it can be now. So it's when you're in the middle of your journey, I think you just have to be fully invested, and that's a lot of the secret, a lot of the
and that's how it has to be. Like, plan B just gets in the way of plan A, right?
Yeah.
Like, but you mentioned something very interesting with how you had fun with it and you enjoyed it, and at the same time you had people in your corner to support you, and like all of us had. Like, I had a coach that fought for me, supported me. Kenny had one of the the best quarterbacks to ever play, like, have his back and help him get to where they are. And I think that everybody that's had success has had that person that basically said, grabbed your hand and like pulled you up. And you see it as like, being lucky. Like, what if this didn't happen? I wouldn't have made it. It's like, no, you wouldn't have made it if that person didn't help you.
Yeah.
But that person helped you for a reason. They saw something in you. There was something, whether it was just like an attraction of some sort, or they saw something that told them like, this person needs the help. Like, they don't need the help, just like I believe like in you. Like, you have to have the belief in yourself. But I think that the belief in yourself comes from sometimes, at least like in my case, a lot of the time, somebody else believing in me first.
100%.
And then it gave me confidence to believe in myself.
Yeah.
Because all we have at the end of the day is ourself. Like, we were born, we came into this world by ourselves on our own. Some people have twins, but you still, the first one, you were out, and you're going to leave this world by yourself. And in 150 years, they're not going to remember who we are.
No.
Like, you are alone. You are by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's hard to deal with those thoughts on your own, because you're the only one in your head. And when you don't believe in yourself, it's hard. It always takes somebody else to believe in you and see it before you see it for yourself.
Yeah.
Then you see it for yourself, and you're like, I'm so glad that person helped me, and that it legit changed everything. And you've had a lot of opportunities. I've had a lot of opportunities. But when you see it for what it is, it makes it worthwhile at the end. Kind of how we're sitting here now looking back. Like, at the time, I didn't know either. I was just having a good time, like having fun, like fearless, going after it. Like you, same thing. Like him, same thing. Like when you look back, then you kind of realize how much struggle you went through, how hard it was. And you're only going to think of it and see it like that when you've had success.
Yeah.
If you haven't had it, you're still living in it.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
You don't know that it was hard until you're at where you're at. Then you can look back and be like, wow, like,
man, that was different than I thought it was at the
right?
time.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's like when I was living in that shop building, right? Like you guys were talking about when you were living on couches.
You're probably just like, this is cool.
I was like, man, I got my own place,
right?
Like, this is
Yeah.
legit. Like if I want to do whatever I want to do, I can do it, and yeah, but now looking back, it's like, that was crazy, but like at the time, it's just, it's what you got to do, and you're enjoying it, and you're having fun doing what you love to do, and it is what it is,
and having the right mindset too, like enjoying it, being grateful for what you do have. Like the people that put a lot of pressure on themselves, they're thinking about what they don't have, and they're talking about grinding and grinding. Man, I'm sleeping on people's, couches. I don't have a ride. I don't have a coach. I'm working on my own. I'm grinding and grinding to make it. I'm grinding. Those people hardly ever make it.
Yeah.
It's the ones that are like,
I'm not even thinking about grinding.
No, you're just playing, having a good time. I got a place to sleep tonight. Cool.
Yeah.
Like I get to train tomorrow. Like this is great. Just like you, I get to drive. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I got my seat. But if you had a different mindset and you were like, man, this is hard. Like this just has to pay off because I'm working so hard. I got my seat. I just drove 8 hours. God just like has to help me because I'm working so hard. I'm grinding. I'm putting in the work. I'm doing it. It has to work out for me. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. If you're thinking about it like that.
I couldn't agree more.
But if you're enjoying it, like, man, I got the opportunity to race. I'm going to give everything that I can because what else? Like I win or I lose. Like I crash it. Oh well, these people just let me drive their car for one night. Like what do I have to lose? And that's the reason why you are at where you're at. That's the reason why he got to where he is. Like everybody that's been successful, it was the mindset they had when they were going through the grind.
Yeah.
That's why every like coach or entrepreneur, they don't tell you to grind. They tell you to hustle. Yeah. Like just get out there and do it. Don't grind, because you think about grinding. Man, I'm grinding. Yeah. This sucks.
Like you're doing the hard yards, feeling bad for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like not really it's not really how you're supposed to go about it if you want to achieve your goals.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. It's tough. It's tough to just, I've obviously I talked with you a little bit about my brother. He's kind of going through it right now too, just getting to that level that he wants to be at, and but he's in the same boat. He just enjoys doing what he's doing, and will kind of do whatever it takes to get there.
So how do you feel looking? We talked about it a little bit. Because it's your younger brother, you're kind of seeing him struggle. You kind of feel he's not really struggling. It's just like
he's in the journey.
You kind of feel for him. Of what he's going through. Mm-hmm. But you went through it, but it was a different time in your life. So what is it like now, or even like the younger racers coming up? Because a lot of people look up to you, especially like around here, kids are driving and stuff. How do you see that now, where you're at, versus when you were that little kid looking up to somebody else?
Yeah, it's easy for me to imagine that, because like one of my biggest mentors in racing has been Jason Myers, which he lives right here in Clovis and owns a construction company now. But he did everything basically that I wanted to do. Won the World of Outlaw Championship, was a full-time sprint car driver, and so I got to kind of look up to him, and he's been a part of my journey and probably been one of my biggest pushers. Like you said, pushed me into, had a relationship with JJR, kind of got me in the door there, like just little things like that helped me along the way. And I remember, asking him a lot of the same questions, like, man, how do I get to where you're at? Like, how do I make this happen? Like, what do I need to do? And his advice was always, man, you need to be calling around, meeting as many car owners as you can. You need to be meeting as many faces as you can. Be kind to everyone you meet, because you never know who that person is that might elevate you to that next level. And so I just try and give that same sort of advice to people that I'm talking to, or people that I'm trying to mentor, help out, and whether it be my brother or a little kid down the road or whatever. But my experience of being so in awe of how amazing Jason Myers was and wanting to be in his shoes someday makes it easy for me to give others advice, just because I got to live through him giving it to me.
No doubt. It's cool to have those mentors, right? It's especially like ones that are like peer level too, because you're trying to do the same thing that he did, right? Like Tyson, your coach, that was like one of the best pitchers, and you want to be exactly like what he did. Like younger me wanted to be like Joe Staley, so like that was just people that had in your corner, and to kind of look back and be like, you don't really know that you're just like a little puppy falling around, right? You're like, you don't really know when you're in it that's going to be your mentor. Yeah. Right. So for me, it was just like, man, I see this guy, and he's doing everything that I want to do. Yeah, right. He's doing everything that I had in like my plan, right? Which never happens the right way. But, and so you just kind of follow blindly, and that's what I literally tell everybody that I like coach, or anybody coming up to go try to play football. I'm like, find a vet. Yeah. Find somebody that you can get on their coattails. Don't go after the best player. Go after somebody who's going to help you. Yeah. Right. Like, and then that's what I tell everybody. And it's cool to kind of like look back and at the people that affected our careers and be like, okay, I know this guy helped me out so much, which is cool.
And that's with everybody that's had success. They talk about a mentor that they've had. Yeah. They talk about somebody that helped change their life. Whether it was a player, a high school coach, or something that gave them, little words of advice here and there that completely changed their mindset. But I believe it's so important. If you want success, there's like a road to success, and a lot of people have like taken it, and there's like multiple roads, but it still goes like the same direction. Yeah. And anybody that's had success can literally like show you how to do it. Yeah. And you just have to follow them. Like, it's not, nobody reinvents the wheel. Yeah. Like, no. You literally, like, all people that have success, they just take what somebody else did and just copied it and made it their own. Mm-hmm. Like, it's literally it. We make it so much harder on ourselves because we don't even know what success is. Yeah. Once you sit back and see the world for what it is, it's a little bit easier. But, okay, well, that guy, I want to live the type of life that he has. What's he doing? Hey, like, just go talk to him. Ask him. The people that have success will help you.
Guaranteed.
The people that don't, won't.
It's amazing, even in life, I find that people that have like a lot of success financially, they're a lot of the ones that are super happy for you when you cross financial goals of your own. Yep. And you'd be surprised. I mean, I'm sure you guys have witnessed this too. When a lot of the people that you think would have your best interests at heart, that are maybe on same or level, they're usually the ones that don't. So it's
they're
tough.
The ones trying to bring you down because they see you going a little bit higher, and they're like, whoa, hey. Carson's looking a little better than me. I got to go talk shit on him. You know?
Yeah.
That's literally how it is. All right, we had a lot of good stuff today.
Yeah.
Are you ready? You can put your judge hat on.
Yep, let's do
All
it.
right, put your judge hat
Let's
on.
do it.
How we end these normally when we have a guest is we have 10 questions.
Okay. Let's do
And
it.
you have to answer them as fast as you can. You have 1 minute to answer 10 questions.
Got it. All right.
But
No
the
problem.
twist here is Kenny's going to judge you.
Okay.
0 through 10 about how you answered the question, how fast,
Yep.
how relatable,
So
how
one word
confident.
answers or just whatever? I
You
wanna
answer
be?
however you want.
Okay.
And he judges however he wants to judge.
Okay.
But
All right. Judge
it can
Kenny?
be a one word. They're basic. I got it. Well,
Oh, you
that's
got-
what,
oh, yeah,
that's
yeah,
why we
yeah.
got the timer right
Okay.
there. So I'm asking you 10 questions.
Yep.
You answer the best you can, fastest you can. But if you just answer a fast question and it's not good, he might not like it.
I might
Yeah.
not like it.
You know what I
So
mean?
You gotta.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So you got the timer? All
Let's
right,
go.
we're going. 3, 2, 1. Other than racing, what is your favorite sport?
Snowboarding.
If you can only eat one thing all day, every day, what would it be?
Ito Ya.
Most famous contact in your phone.
Kyle Larson probably.
If you were a potato, how would you like to be cooked?
To internal temp of 195.
3 things you're bringing with you on a deserted island.
Oh, my phone, a boat, and an engine for the boat.
Sports team you hate the most.
Oh, I don't hate these teams. Maybe San Francisco.
Oh no! Dinner with a famous sports star, dead or alive. Who is it with, and what are you eating?
What's her name off Wolf of Wall Street?
Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie.
What are you eating?
Oh,
Her.
Ito Ya.
If you were a stripper, what would your stripper name be?
Sparkles.
Did Taylor Swift make the NFL more popular?
No, hell no.
Done. Time.
106.
Ooh, 106.
Damn it, I
Not
blew
bad.
over a little bit.
I'll take a little bit off because I laughed. So we'll go 2 seconds
Okay,
off. What is
okay.
that point? So we'll go 0.5 off of your score. That's how it goes. I'll take a couple seconds, but it's all up to Kenny now.
All right, I gotta replay these in my head.
Well, do we at least write down the answer so we know?
I count them up here.
It's
Oh,
recorded,
it's
bro.
still-
Come on.
Steel trap.
Oh,
He
it's
knows.
still trap.
Still trap. He hasn't been hitting the head that much.
Yeah. Not that much. What do we have the other scores?
Who's the leader? Isaiah?
8.5.
Yeah.
Internal temp 195. You can't miss on that. I cooked
We're looking for like mashed, fried,
Tater
like,
tot.
I cooked potatoes. All right.
I cook potatoes.
I got the
They're like,
thermopin.
That's it.
I got the thermopin and I don't miss.
Okay.
That was the best answer we've had by
Okay.
far.
Okay.
Hey, Sprinkles is pretty good. too.
Sprinkles?
No, Sparkles.
Sparkles. All right.
Sparkles is pretty good, man.
You know what? Like, they were all pretty much middle of the road for me. Nothing like blew my socks off.
The potato one blew my socks off.
The potato one was good. The boat with the engine is smart.
Boat with an engine is
Yeah.
pretty
Smart.
good.
That's, I mean, trying to get off that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I
And
mean,
my
some
phone,
people,
at least I can call somebody.
somebody might want to just stay on the island because, like me, I would be like,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we'll make sure that we edit out the Margot Robbie, so here
What?
we
Yeah.
don't want we don't want anybody
Since I got
getting
the
jealous.
girlfriend and all that. Yeah.
whatever.
No, we're gonna highlight it.
Holly, Holly wouldn't like
Clip that, yeah.
Sorry, Holly.
Um,
Sorry, Holly.
You know, I'm gonna do like 7.5.
7.5. Oh.
Middle of the road.
I
C,
think it's kind
C.
of low, honestly. I think it's
C.
kind of low.
Especially with all those drink reviews you've
Yeah,
done.
sports team. I mean,
San
that
Francisco.
probably took you negative. Wait, Giants or Niners?
Nah, the Niners.
Okay, so yeah,
The
that
Niners just, I don't know. Everyone in my family's a Niners fan.
that's
so I
probably
just-
why it brought you down.
I grew up a Niners fan, and then they cut me. So
Yeah, that's
He does have a Super Bowl jersey laying up there. You can go take a picture
That's
of it
pretty-
later. You
that's
can- yeah.
sorry,
You can take-
man.
That's
I-
it's
I would.
I lost.
The only thing
Super
I'll
Bowl.
say
I
is
lost
the
the
only
Super
thing
Bowl.
I'll say is that like I'm not real confident on like vote for sports teams. I've liked the Falcons since like day one because I like their colors. So I don't.
Cool.
When I was a little kid, and I'm just not a bandwagoner, so I stick to the road.
I don't even
Stick
like.
to
I don't
it.
even like
Yeah.
anybody. I just like my buddies that are still playing. That's all I care
Yeah,
about.
That's
there
how I
you
feel about baseball too. It's just like whatever.
Yeah, your
It's-
friends that are playing.
I just look at. I'd rather see like the spin rate and the break of the pitch than the actual game.
Yeah.
Football's fun though. Niners coming in for the Super Bowl. If you're listening to this and you haven't entered the presidential giveaway, they're giving away an ultimate Super Bowl package. So make sure you go to Presidential RE and enter that giveaway. It's going wild right now. Also, follow Carson on Instagram. What's your Instagram?
I think it's just at Carson Macedo.
Yeah, Carson Macedo. He's a freaking big shot. A lot of cool stuff.
We need to go to
there.
a race, bro.
Let's go to a
Yeah,
race
you
in
guys
Australia next year.
Yeah, that'd be legit.
I can't wait.
If
mate.
not, if
Can
you
we
want to
hop
travel
on-
all
can we
the way
hop-
to Australia,
can
there
we
is
hop on the
one in
PJ?
Tulare.
We're going to one Tulare for sure.
Yeah.
When is
Tulare.
that?
Oh, we're going.
Later in the year, like September.
Okay.
Yeah, Tulare. Next
There.
closest would be like, oh wow, Tulare would be the closest. Hanford. Hanford.
Go get some ice
You want
cream.
Hanford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go get some superior.
Yeah, there
dairy.
you go, Hanford. But man, they're not the same as they used to be. They're like hardly open. Hanford and Superior. They're like
Yeah,
never
it's
open.
tough. I know. It's all right. Don't worry. Me and Kenny got a plan. We're gonna try to get.
You guys
everything
know a
back
guy in the
over.
back door let you in.
Oh, we can get in. We can get ice cream for sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it needs to be what it once was.
Yeah,
you need to be able
it's
to
not the
sit
same.
down and have the ice cream just
All the way
stacked
mounted
up
to the
all the
top.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Order one scoop and it comes out this tall.
Izzy, calm down, all right? I know you're over there.
All right, that's it. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us everywhere. Follow Kenny. Follow me. Follow Carson.
Not Izzy.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, when you see us in the streets, tell us what you liked, what you didn't like about Kenny, not me. Okay?
Because Tyson can't take it.
If it's something
No,
that you like,
I
then tell
can't
him.
take it. If you tell me that I said something that like sounded dumb, I'm gonna take it with me, and it's
He's going to cry.
It's
Very
really
sad.
it's really gonna affect me.
Yeah.
No,
Man,
just
thanks for
kidding.
having me on, guys. It's been
No.
cool.
Yeah, you're the man.
I really appreciate
Let's
it.
get out of here. Time to party.
We're
Till
going
next
on to a
time.
race.
Izzy, hit us with that team music.